So I'm Jeff Barber. I was one of the founding board members of OCA. I'm sitting in the exact spot that OCA was born. We're here in the old library, the upper room here. That's what we used to call it. I was school board president for about 13 years, from 2007 to about the end of 2020. So there had been a movement among several people to start a Christian school, and it was not necessarily our idea, but we built on probably about 5 years of groundwork from other people, and it just started to gain momentum. And there were certain individuals around town and at First Baptist that just made it happen. And we met in this room in August of 2005. And I can remember sitting in this room thinking, wow, something really big is going on. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but this is going to be something special.
Hey OCA family, my name is Aubrey Craig. I am the class of 2019. I graduated by myself, so OCA has definitely seen some growth since then. But my OCA journey actually started the very first year it ever opened. I was in kindergarten, so I was one of the first students to start in kindergarten and go all the way through and graduate high school from there as well. After OCA, I moved to Jonesboro, Arkansas and attended Arkansas State University in hopes to get a degree as a speech therapist. And now I'm proud to say that I am a speech therapist, so it's been a long few years. But OCA prepared me well for the academic workload. My master's program was very difficult, but specifically Latin at OCA has helped me so much going into the medical field. So thank you to OCA. This is me 5 years post-graduation. I'm working. This has been my dream to be a speech therapist. So OCA definitely played a role in that. Thank you to all the students and the parents, teachers, specifically my parents, who allowed me to get an education at OCA and to be where I am today. So thank you.
After our first meeting, I was asked to serve on the school board, and like an idiot, I said yes. And we found 4 other members, and we started the planning stages, and we met, and we met, and we talked, and we met, and we planned. And, you know, things just kind of came together, and it was a lot of time spent on curriculum, on staff, on philosophy about what we wanted to be and what we didn't want to be. A lot of philosophical questions about who we are and what we wanted to accomplish. You know, I went back to Joshua over and over and over again, fear not, for I am with you. And sometimes you kind of question that, but I just went back to that.
My name is Haley Zellers, and I graduated OCA in 2020. I started attending OCA during a time of doubt and disenchantment with the church. The communities in my life had gone through a lot of events that made me come away with the feeling that a lot of the people that I knew who claimed to be Christians weren't really, that they said that with their mouths but lived in a way that wasn't consistent with following Christ. And OCA was really helpful for me because, first of all, it was a community of families who really genuinely did believe what they said. It was a community of families who were trying to faithfully follow Christ and live out his commandments. So it was helpful for me to see genuine Christians who believed what they said they believed and followed through with their actions. And then also the classical education encouraged my questions rather than discouraging them, and gave me the tools to work through them in a healthy environment to do that in. I think that OCA helped strengthen my really weak faith at the time and left me with lasting skills that will continue helping me to live a life that will glorify God.
Well, obviously our greatest obstacle, there was 2 of them. Well, there was 3 obstacles. Number 1, money. Number 2, teachers. And number 3, where. And those were the big ones. There was a donor that probably still wishes to remain anonymous that got us off the ground. Donated $100,000, and we tore through that money in a heartbeat. We found teachers, and the salaries were ridiculously low, but we told them that their retirement plan was out of this world, and they took us up on that. Number 2, where. We had no place to meet, and it was an act of God. We had a meeting at First Baptist one night at a business meeting, and a voice from the back out of nowhere made a comment, and one thing led to another, and by the end of the night, we had the South Campus to use for our first year. 1 year only. We had to find something else to do after the first year, but we had a place to go, and we had all of 24 kids the first year. Finding teachers. That was tough. It still is. We wanted to teach well, and we didn't want just anybody as a teacher. And so for the first few years, there were a lot of parents that caught the vision, believed in it, and decided to sacrifice a lot of money that they could have taught in public school or had jobs elsewhere, but believed in the vision. They stuck with us. The first year, we had a family that donated, and their money lasted about a year. We were out of money. We didn't know how we were going to pay the teachers, and we had no place to meet. And in came the second set of donors. I remember standing with them and the school board president at the time, Adam Madden, on the back porch of the old Drag Pro building on ZZ, and we walked around it, and the donors on the back porch said, "We just bought this place and we're donating it to OCA." And it was a big deal, because we then went from the South Campus to having 12,000 square feet of space that took a lot of work, but at one point we had 175 kids in that building. It was kind of a movement. There were times when it just really felt like we were swimming against the stream every single day, and it was terrifying, but I knew we were where we needed to be.
I am Dennis Lancaster. I'm from here in West Plains, and I had the great honor of being on the founding OCA board. It's been a thrill for me to see how Ozark Christian Academy has grown and evolved and has become such an important part of our community and an important part of the kingdom of Jesus and of our families here in our area. It's two of the most important theories, we'll call them theories, two important aspects, so that's a better word, for me in terms of my philosophy of teaching. One, and above all, comes from Jesus, and where the disciples and others are saying, "Teacher," and I love that, "Teacher, tell us what is the greatest commandment." And but he gives an answer that is just dictates my life, and that is, again, the greatest commandment is to love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, and then secondly, and equal to that, is really to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Those are two very important aspects of education, period. I do believe that's what we do as teachers. That's the important part of what we do as teachers. And OCA certainly it's at the core of what you do. The second one is from Plato. And I know some of our students will be familiar with this, and that's the myth of the cave and Plato's theory of the ideals. And that is, we strive for the ideal. We have it in our mind, we keep it in our forefront as we go through life, never achieving it, but always trying to get there. and it helps guide us in certain ways and directs our path. And so if you put those two theories, the two aspects together in terms of our education theory, then I think those are things, again, that OCA embodies, and I love that. Again, thank you for allowing me a few minutes to talk. Wish I was there. It was such an honor to serve as a founding board member, and I watched from afar in the progress and the tremendous impact that OCA is making today. Have a good night.
I always think about this verse, or this Bible story, is when God told the Israelites to carry the ark across the Jordan, and it was flooding at the time, and he didn't care. He said, I told you to carry the ark across the Jordan. And they put it on their shoulders, and they headed to the river. The river stopped flowing when they put their feet in the water. And I felt like the water was about up to our nose, and we were about to drown, and God provided. He provided every single time. Now, he was rarely early, but he was never late. So the new building, we had kids hanging from the rafters at the facility on ZZ, and out of room, max capacity, over max capacity, and 2017 came along. We had the 1,000-year flood, and it flooded downtown West Plains, and it got up in what was the old Invencies building. And we had been talking to them about purchasing that building, and they wanted like $1.5 million, and we said, look, you don't understand, we have no money. And they're like, okay, we'll take $1.3 million. I was like, you don't understand, we have no money. They came down to $1 million. I said, I don't know if we're speaking English or not, but we have no money. And then they came back at $500,000. I thought, okay. I said, so we threw out the idea of maybe a 501c3 donation. And we went back and forth. And finally, they came down to $300,000. I can remember sitting around the table, all the board members sitting around the table, and I made the negotiation. We made them the offer. We had a donor give the $300,000. And they said, well, we'll get back to you. And Shane Cobbin calls me a few days later and says, they took our offer. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. They said, nope, they took it. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Coming from a building of 12,000 square feet, and then we go into this building of 83,000 square feet, it was a big deal for us, for everybody. It was a big deal. I remember we looked like the children of Israel crossing through the Red Sea when we went and got all the stuff from ZZ Highway, and there was this caravan, this endless caravan, back and forth, going from ZZ to the new building. And we took all of our stuff from ZZ and we put it in this 83,000 square foot place, and it didn't even come close to filling everything up. And I thought, well, this is pretty cool. So our legacy, I mean, early on, I believe Adam and Martin both came up with the motto of training the next generation of disciples. And I think that's the legacy. That's the legacy that needs to be carried on.